The concept of linking is foundational to good rankings and understanding the internet at large. It starts with the premise that good content will be cited by others, recommending it to other people. How we cite and recommend information online is by linking to it. We link to information that we find valuable. Based on that, the search engines assess content by how websites link to one another. So we are going to cover the definition and purpose of links and the different functions that links serve. We'll also look at how links mirror human judgment. We'll look at how search engines evaluate links by mirroring human judgment and how that affects what's called block level analysis, and how where the location of different links and how they are used will greatly affect their relevance. We're going to look at how visitors from different link sources will behave differently based on where they came from, and also how you can measure the effectiveness of links. And finally, we're going to look at both good and bad linking practices. Now, links serve a number of purposes. From a functional standpoint, they usually are our primary means of navigation online. We click on links, we go to different pages, and from those pages we find links to other pages. Links are also a method of citing other content. When we quote somebody, when we use information that we have found somewhere else, we cite that information to give credit to the original author. Typically, online, we do that with a link, so that if someone wants to see the original source document, it's available to them. That also helps to provide credibility to you, credibility to the author of the original source, as well as assigning importance to the knowledge that came from that original source and the authority of the original source. Links also provide us with a clear structure of how our websites are built, how the pages relate to one another, and how organized the information can be. So let's break down the functional part of a link. This is important if you're going to be developing anchor text and linking to understand the structure. The ahref equals is the start of the link tag. What you are doing is developing the reference of where the document is contained. That's the href. Reference is what it is short for. What comes next within the quotes is the location of the document. Now, this can be a full URL, or you may just be linking to a document that's on the main root level of your server. This is the full location where you can access the document. And so you're putting the name of the document, the extension, so that it will be linked. The next part is what I have in caps. You'll notice off to the left, I have something in all blue text and underlined, which most people will recognize as a link. You see, when it is in between the document location and the closing of the link tag, the text you have in there is what's called anchor text. You see, instead of publishing the document location and the full URL of the document, we can put the link within text and create anchor text. So all someone has to do is click on the link and the document loads for them. This anchor text is vitally important to understanding how we can add additional relevance to linking content. Then we see the closure of the link tag. This is what makes the internet. The internet is millions of pages connected together by links. So when we look at the functional side of links, and we look at this example here, as you can see, the title of this article is not the URL address of the article. It's a title, and the title is the link. That is the anchor text of the link. And so, from a search engine standpoint, search engines look to see what words are being used in the link and how relevant those words are to the document that is being linked. It also looks to see where is the link. Is it in the editorial information, in the article? Is it part of the navigation? Is it in a sidebar or is it an ad? And then also, search engines are looking to see if this is a text link or an image link. How long has that link been there? What type of link is it? Does it go somewhere within your website? Does it go to another website? Or is it a reciprocal link, which I will explain more later? They also look to see the text in the link and the context to the page with the link directs you to. We utilize links a little differently. You see, from a human standpoint, whenever we refer information to another person, when we provide reference material to another person, or even if someone asks us for a recommendation, we provide this information. You see, offline, we mirror the same behavior as we do online when we link. People ask us for information, and we provide it. We just mirror that online by making a link. Offline, we recommend, we refer, we provide information to each other in much the same way. The way I want you to think about it from a human standpoint is that if you asked another person for advice or directions or a referral, are there certain people that you would trust more than others? I'm sure the answer to that is yes. And maybe you have some people in mind that you are thinking about. You see, we run across the same issue with search. The search engines know that there are some websites that are much more trustworthy than others. Just like if you were to ask someone for information, I'm sure you would ask the right person for the information. You would ask the most knowledgeable, trustworthy person you knew who had authority in that subject area. The search engines are trying to do the same thing with the links that we publish on our websites. They're trying to determine who is the most trustworthy and relevant based on the recommendations, referrals, and citations of other websites to other websites. Who are the websites that are trusted, that are authorities? The search engines are trying to do, from a technical algorithmic standpoint, what we do naturally from a human standpoint. Now, from the human side, as I had said before, we need to think of links as information that we receive from other people. Word-of-mouth advice, information, directions, recommendations. This is where we need to think about links not from the standpoint of building false relevance for a search engine, but being a helpful resource for our readers. How can we help them? How can we provide information? And how can we be a credible source of information? How can we develop our authority within the industry, and so that people who have questions about this content will see our websites as authoritative and credible resources? The best way to develop links, as you'll see, is good content. When people like what they read, when they like what they see, when they are willing to recommend it to others, it's because you have created something of value. And they'll link to you when they feel that you are credible and that you are authoritative with this information. Only then will they share it with other people, because you have earned that right for them to share it with others by providing content that is informative, educational, entertaining, and you've provided that service. Only then will people then want to recommend it to others by linking to it. Now, links serve a number of benefits. When I look at some of the incoming links to my site, one of the things I notice is that if I get a link in certain places, that can drive a lot of brand exposure. I can have thousands of people coming to the site looking to see an article, and that provides a lot of exposure to a lot of people. However, also, getting a link from a certain website, especially if it's a high, relevant, authoritative website, I can see my rankings increase because of that. But then also, a good link is going to drive people that will convert and drive sales or leads, those who become customers. So those are the three aspects of a good link. A good link will drive traffic to your site. A good link will assist your rankings. And a good link will bring in business. If you can get a link to do all three of those at the same time, that's what I call the golden link, because it has all three benefits. Usually, however, you're going to find that different links will provide different types of benefits. One of these three, or maybe two out of these three. One of the things I'm usually very focused on is the link that drives sales or generates leads. That's getting links in the right place that will benefit me tangibly, rather than just getting thousands of people to see it. Why? It benefits me financially if I can get a link in the right place. So from here, let's break down the different types of links. We have navigational links. We see these in our navigation, our primary navigation, maybe the footer of our web pages, where we have links to typical information such as about us or contact us. We also have sidebar links. This might be related information or offers or calls to action. And then also I would break it down into outbound or inbound type of navigation. Outbound are links going to other websites. Inbound links are links that come from other websites and that also I might send to other pages on my own site. Now, I've used the term editorial. An editorial link is a link that is found within the content of the website. And by that, I mean through an article. So if I am writing an article and I link to someone else and cite them or reference them, that is what's called an editorial link. It means that it's part of the content. A great example of this is that the navigation on your web pages is not part of the content. It serves a function as navigation, but it doesn't have anything to do with supporting information, with citing an authority. So information and links that you put within the content and presented content of your site are considered editorial. Now, there's also call to action links where you're bringing someone to a landing page or a registration page or a sale page. Then also we have social links. Now, these can provide a variety of means, but typically a social link will go to a profile. Maybe it's a username that takes you somewhere else, or a comment, or maybe just an image or something that goes to a social site or that you have placed on your own site as well. Either way, it's all contained within that social network. Even though the links are going on and off your site, they tend to be controlled in that social environment. Now, I've used the term reciprocal link. Now, this is something very specific. A reciprocal link is one where you would go to somebody else and you would make a trade, such as, if you link to me, I'll link to you. And maybe you put those links on the home page, or maybe you create a page just for that link. You see, sometimes it just doesn't make sense. And so the search engines will see that you've linked to each other, but if there's no contextual relevance, most likely you won't get any benefit because you've agreed to link to each other for the primary purpose of boosting rankings. Now, this is not to say that two websites can't link to each other because there is some relevance. We'll look at some examples of that later on in this module. Also then, we have advertising links. These can be ads, banners, anything on the page that is an advertising link that if you were to click on it, you would go to that advertiser's page. Those links are typically through an ad server, and they take place in an entirely different ecosystem. But they are links, and we need to know what kind of links are advertising and which kind of links are functional to our websites. Now, when I broke down the different types of links, so we have our navigation links, we have links in our sidebar and in our footer. What block level analysis does is that the search engines look at the code of the page. They break down the page because it's very easy to figure out which part of the code has to do with your navigation which part of the code has to do with your sidebar and your footer, and which part of the code is calling ads from an ad server. What this leaves is the editorial content, your article, and the ability of search engines then to break down your page into these different elements. The reason why they do it is that the links contained in the editorial space are considered to be more relevant in terms of linking to other websites than any of the other types of links on your web page. Search engines don't consider all parts of the page to be equally relevant, which is okay because neither do humans. We look at the navigation as utilization, pure utility, because it's just helping me navigate among the different pages of your website. I'm not expecting to learn anything. I'm using it as a functional means of navigating your site. Now, your sidebar might have some calls to action, it might have links to other pages, but it's not an article. It's what you've developed. And so it might be a little more important than your navigation, but it's not as important as what you may have written within content. Your footer navigation is basically the same. You control that. It's the same on every page. And so what the search engines are looking for are the unique content, the unique article or information that you've published. And if there is a link within that editorial content, that is highly relevant because it has to do with content. It has to do with information that you are sharing. And so the links there are going to be more highly relevant and are going to be more important for the search engines to see. You see, it's the same way with humans. We're not going to look at navigation to learn something. It's functional. The same thing with the footer. And as humans, we're reading the content that you have in your article. And if you link to another source, well, you've provided us with utility. But it's contextual utility because you're citing where you found information, or you're citing an additional source, or you are linking to an example. And it enables me as a human to see that, understand it, and if I need that additional information, I can click on it and go to it. So I'm going to look at the information on the page in that article very differently than I'm going to look at the headings, the navigation, the sidebars, or the footer, because the article is what is informing me. And so the links in the article I'm going to look at very differently and hold them in a higher level of relevance. Now, over time, search engines have had to refine the algorithm about links. You see, in the early days of search engine algorithms, they used to simply count the amount of links. Then if one site had more links than another, that made it more credible. However, once people started to figure that out, people started accumulating links by really any means necessary. And they were just looking for the sheer volume of links, because they knew if they got the most amount of links, it would affect their rankings. And so over the years, the search engines have had to change and adjust and add more relevance to their algorithm, refine it in order to look at different aspects of links in order to properly determine relevance. So over time, it wasn't just having a link. It was then also looking at how many people cite this site as an authority. So looking at the source of the link and the types of pages. Then also looking at the text of the link and matching it with the text of the page. Does it match? Is it contextual? And then looking at the type of link, doing the block level analysis, and then also the context, the relevancy of your site compared to the linking site, compared to the link, and the information that's being shared there. Also, some of the ways that they can look at it are the age of the link. How long has that link been there? Humans do the same thing. When we look to see how long someone has been in business, we're looking at credibility. And then, of course, there are many, many other ongoing refinements that are going into the search engine's evaluations of links. Sometimes the age of the link isn't as relevant, especially when you're looking for something that has happened very recently. An old link could mean that it's old news or that something has changed since then. So search engines are in a constant battle to ensure that people are not gaming the system by falsely creating relevance through linking. The link relevancy and the algorithm is all about trying to determine who is the most relevant and credible within this area. And that is the focus of most search engine algorithm refinements over the past few years, and it will be into the future. Now, this is where I'm going to start bringing in some screenshots from a link management program. As a search engine optimizer, a link management program is probably going to be one of your best friends as you move along in this industry. In this example, this program, LinkDex, that I'm using, will track the incoming links to my website. And it'll also provide a breakdown as to what type of website those links are coming from. So I can see how many links I have from blogs, how many links I have from news sites, how many links from wikis, how many links from directories, forums, social media, public relations sites, articles, or additional resources. Then I can also add my competitors, and I can compare where I stand in terms of the amount of links from each source and where my competitors stand. In this way, I can be sure that we all have a similar link profile. You see, if my linking profile looks vastly different than all my competitors, the search engines are going to see that as well and know that something might be different with me, good or bad, and that's going to raise a red flag. So I want to look at the linking profile because every industry and almost every business's linking profile is going to be a little different. But especially among industries, we see that linking profiles, that is, the amount of links from different sources, is going to be slightly different for every different type of industry or business. So this helps me understand where my links are coming from, which is vitally important because from a business standpoint, one thing that I've tracked consistently in analytics is that people will act differently, and also I can predict which source is going to send me the best customers. You see, just because someone comes from a link doesn't mean they're going to buy or become a customer or really become a lead. Many times, they're going to come, look at your information, and leave. And based on how they come to your site, whether it's through a blog, a directory, a forum, or a news site, has a lot to do with how they view your website. And it's all about the context. You see, this is what I've learned over the years, is that people will behave differently based on how they find the website. What I found is that people from blogs, news sites, and articles, they tend to stay longer, do more, and have a higher chance of conversion, of becoming a customer or a lead. The main reason is because blogs and articles, they have a lot of context. It's an article. Someone has taken the time to write some information out and then link to my site, which means there is a highly contextual reason for someone to click that link. Also, what it means is that there's a lot less competition for that link when my link is in that article. Compare that with social news or any type of social site. You see, when you're on a social site and you're looking at your social stream of information, there's a lot of different people competing for your attention, a lot of different things. And it's not just in one subject area. It's usually from multiple subject areas. And so the context is very low because there's a lot of different types of information and the competition for your attention is very high. Because of that, people from social sites or applications tend to visit more often, but they only tend to view one page and leave immediately because they're looking to see what was interesting and then they move on to the next subject. That's the difference between how people react based on where they come from. And so when I'm measuring links, I'm looking to see which links do I have, what's the source, and then how do those sources behave differently from one another, and why. You see, if I find that I'm getting links from sources that people are staying longer, doing more, and converting at a higher rate, then I'm going to continue to focus on building links in those areas because it directly affects how I monetize my website. So here's a strategy in building links. One of the things I'm looking at is the source of links. Like I said, if I can find a link source that's providing visitors that will stay, look at my content, engage with the content, and eventually convert at a higher rate than other sources of content or visitors, then I'm going to focus on that source. And so I'm going to look at some high authority websites, whether they're industry publications, news sites, education sites. Those are what are considered high authority. Blogs, articles, news sites. That's what I'm looking to do. I want to find the most authoritative website. And sometimes it happens naturally. If people that work at those websites or manage those sites, if they find you and they like your content, they'll link to it. And that way you can get more credibility, more relevancy. Certain people, certain organizations, certain websites have more authority and influence than others. It goes back to the question that I asked you early in this module, that how do you know if someone is more authoritative than somebody else? We also have mid-authority websites, which you can get some links on, and low-authority websites, which are very easy to get links. But here's what I've learned when it comes to link building. One link from one high-quality website can be worth hundreds or thousands of mid to low-quality links. Ultimately, it's about quality, not quantity. One of the things that I will do, utilizing my link software, is look at the context of the link. I want to see how relevant this is. So as I said, if I want to find a high relevant website, what I'm looking for in terms of this is I want to see the influence of the domain as well as the relevance of the domain. Those are two factors that we're going to look at when we're evaluating the quality of a domain. Now, as I'm looking at this report here, what influence means is that it is a high quality website. That within the linking algorithm, these sites have a lot of authority. However, they may not be relevant. So for example, they may have a lot of sites attributing authority to them, but they may not be relevant to my industry, which is why we have the next column of keyword relevance. You see, when I'm evaluating my links, I'm looking for the sources that are both influential and relevant. That means that I've got a link from a site that fits the two standards of high authority. It's authoritative and relevant. Now, it's good to have links from authoritative sites that might not be relevant. It's still authoritative. However, to get the full benefit, I want it to be influential and relevant. But not to say that I'm not looking for links from these other sources. This is just a means of measuring what you have, as well as comparing it to your competitors and other websites. Now, here's some best practices. When I'm optimizing anchor text, I want to maintain contextual relevance. So I want to use text in the text link, and I want to explain to people what they're linking to, what they're going to find when they click on that link. If I use an image as a link, I'm going to use an alt attribute, because if that image doesn't show up, that attribute is necessary to let people know where to go. But also, I do get a little tiny bit of benefit by using that alt attribute within the image link. I also want to look at the relevance of the source page that I'm linking to and make sure contextually the link text, and the content of the page is contextually relevant to the destination page. I also want to be sure that I don't overuse the keywords, that I don't make multiple links to the same destination, that I don't use the same anchor text over and over. I can be downgraded or even penalized by the search engine algorithm if that is found on my pages. So as an example, instead of using click here for a how-to article, I might use the exact phrase of how to fix whatever it is and use that as the link to the page that has the content. That's a simple way of looking at anchor text. Am I directing someone to additional information? If I am, then how can I present it to them so they know exactly what they're going to find and link it appropriately? I look at it as developing the next step for your readers. Where do you want them to go? What do you want them to do? What resources do you have available to them? How can you structure them so that they're easily understood and you're explaining the final destination? Like I said, if you overuse anchor text, you can be downgraded or penalized by the search engines. So what I will tell you to do is, number one, avoid overstuffing anchor content. That means needlessly repeating keywords in the anchor text. Don't do that. Avoid being redundant, meaning don't have 4 or 5 or 6 links with the same anchor text going to the same page. That's a clear way of letting search engines know that you're going overboard. Don't just randomly place links throughout your text just to get the link. Ask yourself, are you really helping the reader find the information they need? And do it once. And then also avoid extremely overly promotional words within the link text, such as best, expert, cheap, number one, those types of things. So a couple examples. We can say for travel advice, click here, but I would say here is my travel advice and link travel advice. Rewrite it. Be creative. If it were easy, everyone would be doing it. But this is where you can write things in a better way to get the attention of the reader and position it as a resource. Also, utilizing your URL as the link, or as the anchor text as well for the link in order to get that click. As I've got it here, I would not recommend that you use that. I would recommend that you avoid that. Also, the third line, check out the best website for iPhones and iPhone accessories. Utilizing overly promotional words is one of those ways that you can easily get caught by the search engines. Now, for future considerations when it comes to links, realize that the majority of algorithm changes are link-based evaluation refinements, because people are constantly attempting to fool the search engines and develop a false link profile. You should work to create high-quality links with high-quality content. I wouldn't chase after poor or low-quality links. Now, as I've mentioned before, there are a number of tools available for you to manage and measure your backlinks. Tools such as LinkDex, Moz, Raven, Advanced Link Manager, Majestic SEO, and then also you can use your Google Analytics as well. However, Google Analytics only shows you the visitors that have come from links and what they've done. The basic functions of link management software, and there are many other types other than what are listed here, but the first thing that it does is just provide a catalog of incoming links from other domains to your site and your competitor sites. They offer tools for comparison to see which domains are linking to you, what type of link it is, and on which pages those links are listed. They'll also report newly acquired links in the past 30, 60, 90 days, or something similar to that. The purpose of link management software is to help you assess high-quality domains versus low-quality domains in terms of importance and relevance. Like I said, the first job of a link management tool is to collect all of your backlinks. You add your domain, and the tools will usually spider the domain. They'll go out into search engines and go out into many other formats in order to find and retrace who is linking to you, what page that link is contained, sometimes what text is on that page, and what text is being used in the link. They will catalog all of your incoming links, organize them, format them, and report back to you. Most of these link programs provide additional filters and management tools so that you can get more insights about who is linking to you, how they are linking to you, and the type of site. Personally, I use LinkDex in order to monitor and report on my backlinking. So the first report here that I'm showing out of LinkDex is that I see the total amount of incoming links to my domain. This says I have over 2,000 links, and those 2,000 links are on about 1,000 domains. On average, it looks like I have about 2 links from every domain that is linking to me. So this is one way that you start to look at your links. Number one, the total amount of domains that are linking to you, and then the total amount of links available. This way you can isolate domains that are linking to you consistently, and also find those that may not be the best domains or that are sending a lot of links that are just not relevant. The next thing I do in analyzing my links is to look at the type of link, meaning the type of site that it's coming from. This report breaks down the amount of links coming from blogs, news sites, directories, forums, social sites, articles, or resources. Now, it doesn't usually get all of those links, but it does get enough to give you an idea of how well you're doing in each channel. One of the things that I do like about this report is it also has a timeline. So I can look and see when new links have been acquired, and maybe when some links have been just disappeared. That's called churn, and it's normal. It's normal because many times a link is published on social media, and it kind of just goes away, or it's not tracked anymore by your link management software. It can't find it anymore. And so linking is always dynamic. You are always gaining new links and losing old links. There's going to be a normal amount of churn. The next report shows me all of the domains that are linking to me. It also shows me, in the next column, how many of those domains are also linking to at least one competitor. And it will list as many competitors as I have listed in here if they list to multiple competitors. It will let me know the influence of that site or the authority that site is seen because of the amount of websites and credibility that authority has for that domain. It'll also let me know the keyword relevance, how relevant that website is overall contextually to my domain and the content that I have. It will also let me know how many pages on that domain have links to my website. So I can also go through and I can filter this list by the type of site. I can filter by those domains that are using anchor text to see how much anchor text is being used and what type of anchor text. There are many different ways that you can filter through all of the domains that are linking to you in order to get an idea of what's happening on your domain, what are competitors doing, and also the relevance of those links to your site. Now, when I say that I can add competitors, this is another type of report, very similar to the one I showed earlier, where I look at my own standing in the different types of sources of links, such as blogs, directories, forums, and so on. I can also, when I add my competitors, look to see how they are performing in those different areas as well. And so I can compare my link profile to my competitors. Different industries are going to have different backlink profiles. They might be more heavily weighted towards blogs, or they might be more heavily weighted towards forums or social sites. In this way, I can look to see if my competitors are actively link building and how they're going about it. I can see where maybe they are excelling in one area that the rest of the competitors are not. So I can compare different strategies. I can also compare different timelines to see if I am acquiring links at a faster rate than my competitors. This is very important if you are a newer business or a newer website trying to compete. Now, specifically, what I can do is look at an individual domain. In this case, this domain has 3 pages linking to me, and that domain also links to 2 of my competitors. I can look at the specific pages, and what I'm looking at here are snippets. This should be familiar to you because what it's showing is the URL of the page that's linking to my page. It shows me the page title of that page, and then in this report, it lets me know if there are any keywords being used in the link, in the anchor text. as well as the number of links from that page. Now, what this tells me is that this is most likely a directory, something that is listing all the different places where you can buy products, because it's most likely linking to the domain name, seeing that there are no keywords being used in anchor text, and also that there are 16 outbound links from that page. That means that it must be a list of some sort, and they are linking not only to me, but most likely to competitors as well. So I can track my links at the domain level and at the page level. I can look to see which pages might have more influence or relevance to my content. I can also see the link URL, the page title, if any keywords are being used in the anchor text, and also within the context of how many additional links are leaving from that page. If there are a high amount of outgoing links on that page, then a link from that page might not be as valuable since there are so many links. The less links there are coming out from that page, the more it will benefit my site because I'm getting more benefit from less links. Now also, what I'm going to do is compare the link reports to my analytics. I'm going to go to my analytics because linking software does not show traffic. It doesn't show how many people are clicking on the link. It only shows who's linking to you, but it does not show visitor activity. Analytics will show you visitor activity to see which domains are most effective in sending visitors to your site. If you go back to the primary benefits of linking, visitors, branding, and business. Analytics show me visitors and business. It shows me which domains are sending me visitors and which of those visitors are becoming customers. So what I can do is go to Google Analytics, look at all the domains that are referring traffic to my site. I can also click on the domain and see the destination page that they are linking to. I can see how many visitors are coming, either monthly or annually, how often they're coming back, whether they're new users or repeat users, how long they stay, how many pages they view, and how many conversions as a result of those visits. This is a great way to get a 360-degree view of your linking, because not only do you want links that will help you rank better, you also want links that will send business and customers to you as well. Building links can take many forms. Ideally, it is through networks, relationships, and marketing that other websites and users learn about you, like you, and recommend you to others. Unfortunately, there is a lot of bad, outdated, and untrustworthy advice to be found about building links to your website. In this section, I'll present the best practices as accepted by the OMCP standard. The objectives for this module: that you'll be able to develop a link building strategy, that you'll understand the value of different link types. Finally, you'll be able to find inbound link opportunities. The first step in building links is to evaluate what you have. Now, there are many tools available that you can utilize to do this for you. There are automated tools that you can get that will catalog all of the incoming links to your website. Some of them are LinkDex, Moz, Raven, or Advanced Link Manager. There are many that can do that. You may also want to utilize your analytics as well in order to find websites that link to you. The first step is evaluating where you are right now. Your incoming links have a significant impact on your rankings, and you can do a lot of on-page optimization and see some results. However, a lot of Google's algorithm takes into account links from other high-quality websites. Now, when you evaluate what you have, in this example, I'm showing you a screenshot from LinkDex. LinkDex catalogs the incoming links to my website, and it groups them into different areas. The first way it groups them is by high-value or high-influence domains. Those are websites that link to me that have a lot of influence, not necessarily in my industry, but high influence based on the amount of people that link to them as an authority on many different subjects. The next way that it groups that is based on relevance. Now, this is when it looks at the match of my content versus the content of the other website. In the first example, we can see the National Library of Medicine. It is a high influence website because it is a government website with a lot of information that is cited frequently. Because of the amount of other websites linking to that site, it has a high amount of influence. Now, based on the website that I am measuring, there is a lot of keyword relevance, meaning that that National Library of Medicine site with the government has a lot of content that's very similar to my site. A lot of the same keywords are being used. So, not only is this website of high influence, it also has a lot of relevance. And that's key when evaluating my backlinks. I want to look at which websites are also referring traffic. So while I may have a link from the National Library of Medicine, I want to look at my analytics and look to see, is it also providing visitors? Are visitors following that link to my site? And I also want to look at the quality of traffic that it produces. Do these visitors stay longer than average? Do they convert more than average? I want to look at the quality of traffic based on the source. Next, I want to look at the incoming links from those other websites. Number one, I want to make sure that the incoming link from the other site is both accurate and relevant, meaning the text that is used in the link, is it accurate to the content that will appear on the page when the visitor clicks that link? Is the content relevant? This is especially relevant if I have updated my website, changed the content, or moved things around. I want to be sure that that incoming link sends visitors to the appropriate page and the appropriate information. I also want to ensure that that link is worded correctly, that it uses the right words, that is sending visitors and setting expectations of the content that they will see. I may need to contact the website manager or owner and maybe ask for a better link text or a more accurate page destination. Now, this requires some interaction with the owner or manager of another website, and you always want to be respectful of their time and not demanding that they make any changes. In some cases, the organization may be so big you may never find the right person in order to optimize the text or the destination of that link. You always want to look for accuracy in cases where your company or website name is utilized in the link, but also if there is any contact information such as address, phone number, a description of your business, and any content. Make sure it's accurate and it all points to the right place. Another way to look for links is to simply go to a search engine and start doing searches. Search for your company, your business, your company name, and look for websites that may mention you but do not have a live link to your website. Many times your company will be mentioned or cited, but there will not be a live link. You can only find these through doing searches and seeing which websites mention you without linking to you. Now, this could be an opportunity to get an easy link, especially if you can find some contact information and finding the right person that could add a link to your company information. Again, you'll need to be polite, ask for their help, and it will help it if you can develop the link along with the link text and send that over, giving them just a quick and easy edit to be able to add the information. So make it as easy as possible. As an example, I've provided a sample request format. Again, you want to be polite, you want to be inviting and respectful of their time and their management. Sometimes, like I said, you may find the right person that can help you. However, the larger the company, the more difficult it will be to make this happen. This just requires your patience and, again, being polite and not expecting the company to do what you are asking. Many times, this is just a formality, and sometimes companies will act on it. So be sure to approach this with the right expectations. The next thing I want to look at are business listings. These are the easy ways to establish links and ensure that links are where they should be, and also opportunities. Look for business directories, especially if your company has a local presence. You can utilize Chamber of Commerce lists, association lists, or local listings. If they are on websites, see if they offer links that can go to your website rather than just the list of businesses that are in the area. Even on a larger level, you can look for associations, directories, or listings where you can add your business or double check if your business is there, and always ensure that your business name, address, phone number, and URL are correct, complete, and consistent with other listings. The next level will require some active marketing, and that's where you search for opportunities. You can go out and look for other resource lists within your industry or directories of businesses within your industry, and you can get a link many times through membership or submitting your business as a resource. However, you may want to step up your marketing. You can do that by interviewing your clients, seeing if they might be willing to provide a testimonial and a link to your website. You may also want to go out and find other communities online, maybe some social communities that are relevant to your industry. Get involved with those communities, fill out a profile, and get involved by contributing information. By sharing information, you'll find that people like getting information, and they'll respond by linking to your site. Another option is to utilize the tool that you had for indexing your links from the first step. You can also add your competitors, and you can look at their backlinks. You can look and see which websites and which domains are linking to your competitors, but you always need to go and see why. What are those other sites linking to, and what is the nature of that link? Sometimes it may exclude you from being able to approach competitors' backlinks and ask them for links. However, if they're being linked to by companies that are simply stating, here are vendors in this space, and they are linking your competitors, and you're not there, then it might make a lot of sense for you to approach and ask if you can be listed as well. However, be sure that the links to your competitors are not from a consumer or customer relationship. In that case, it might be out of line for you to ask for a link. Make sure if you approach anyone who's linking to a competitor and asking for a link to your site, make sure the context is right and that it makes sense for them. And that's the ultimate judge of value. Does it benefit somebody else to link to your site? We all know that it will benefit you, but when you present your link request, you need to offer value and a benefit for others to link to you. So be sure that you present it in a way that is beneficial and good for those people that will be adding the link. They're the ones that have to take the work to do it, and they're also the ones that are adding a recommendation for you and your business. So as always, you need to be considerate and patient. Now, the best way to build links is by creating something that people like and sharing it. You see, the best way to build links is by creating value through content or information or entertainment. You see, when people like things, they link to it. If they find a study or a white paper or research that you performed, they link to it. If you post an infographic that explains something and it's attractive, people link to it. You see, that's what's most amazing about linking. I find that when we put most of our effort into creating content that people like, that's what builds the most valuable and the most relevant links. And so what type of content? Well, you can create infographics, videos, top 10 lists, or articles. Articles with advice or analysis of market data, or even research. That type of content, people love it. And so when you publish it out, you utilize social media to extend the reach and the visibility of that type of content. And when someone likes it, they'll link to it and recommend it to others. Now, people also like, depending upon your industry or your business, they also like some personality, maybe some humor. People always like expert information. They like the cute. This is why pictures of cats tend to be liked and linked to more than almost anything else. And also the unexpected. If you can inject any of that into your content, that just makes it more valuable, more personable, and again, more shareable by other people. And every time someone shares it, it builds a link to your site. You see, the best linking is when people like something. When you create something that people like and share, you might be surprised at the many opportunities there are to get links based on your content. I've seen many blogs based on cooking, fashion, arts, sports, music, and when people specialize within a specific topic, they always find an audience. And so anything they publish builds links. Even on certain social media sites, such as Pinterest, people upload pictures on articles and infographics, especially about landscaping, flowers, food, cars, you name it. There is a special interest for anything. And you can develop links from those social sites to your site, and it can generate traffic. Even with a blog, developing articles that talk about upcoming events, new music, sports, whatever it is, when you create content that people like, it takes the longest amount of time to build content for building links. When you develop your own content, that's the biggest investment you'll make in time and research and writing and presentation. However, the result is that when you develop that content, you will receive the best and highest quality links, and the most valuable links are going to be to that content. As I mentioned before, one high quality link can be worth more than hundreds or thousands of low quality links. So my best advice is to create content that people like, that they link to, and that will be high value links that you'll generate to your site.
Hi there, if you like this video, subscribe to the Simplilearn YouTube channel and click here to watch similar videos. To nerd up and get certified, click here.